The Adventure of Tuffy the Tiny Turtle. Once upon a time, in a sparkling blue pond, lived a little turtle named Tuffy. Tuffy was the smallest turtle in his family. His brothers could swim faster, and his sisters could carry big pebbles on their backs. Why am I so tiny? Tuffy sighed one morning. Just then, Professor Owl, the wisest bird in the forest, landed on a branch above him. Being small isn't bad, little one, Professor Owl said with a twinkle in his eyes. Sometimes the tiniest creatures make the biggest difference. Really? Tuffy didn't really understand, but he nodded politely. One hot afternoon, the pond began to dry up. The frogs croaked in worry, the fish flopped near the edge, and even the tall reeds drooped sadly. "We need to find a new water source," cried Mama Duck. "But who will go?" asked the animals. The path to the river was narrow and filled with thick roots and tiny tunnels. The big animals were too large to fit. Everyone looked worried. "I can go. I'm small enough to crawl through the tunnels." Suddenly, Tuffy raised his little flipper. Tuffy set off. He squeezed under roots, wriggled through muddy holes, and even slid past a sleepy snake, who thankfully was too lazy to care. Finally, Tuffy spotted the rushing river glimmer. Sparkling water flowed endlessly. He dipped his shell into it and felt cool relief. But how could he bring the news back? He had an idea. Tuffy picked up a shiny pebble from the riverbank and carried it in his tiny mouth. When Tuffy returned, all the animals cheered. "This pebble is from the river glimmer," he said proudly. "Follow me, I know the way," he said to the animals. The animals marched behind him. Together, they dug a small channel, and soon fresh water flowed into the pond. The fish leaped joyfully, the frogs sang loudly, and the reeds stood tall again. "See, little Tuffy, your size was your strength," Professor Owl hooted happily. "Remember, children, never think you are too small to make a difference. Even the tiniest creature can save the day," he said, looking at the young animals. Tuffy puffed up his chest with pride. From that day on, he was known as Tuffy the Brave. Moral of the story: no matter how small you are, you can do big things with courage and cleverness.